Hello and welcome to another episode of Virtual Legality. I'm your host, Richard Hoeg, managing member of the Hoeg Law business law firm of Northville, Michigan. And today, we're going to take a little bit of a step back here in Virtual Legality. You probably saw when you clicked on this video that it's not a numbered episode of the series. It is instead what I call an extra episode because there isn't a lot of legal or business content in this particular episode. Frankly, because we got the business and legal content correct in earlier episodes on this topic. And if you don't know what I am talking about, it's worth noting that today Ninja announced, or more specifically Twitch announced, that Ninja was returning to its friendly confines. As they say here, new beginnings. Ninja says, what can I say? Purple still suits me, and it's great to be back. Now, as soon as this news item crossed my desk, of course, one of the things that I wound up saying was, so it's time for a little bit of a victory lap then, right? And some others that have followed me and have followed this series said, you called it at the very start. If I remember correctly, they called your opinion ludicrous. Now, assuming you haven't been watching every single episode of Virtual Legality, you might not understand what any or all of that means. But suffice it to say, I have covered the Dr. Disrespect ban in what I used to think of as a long-form series here in Virtual Legality. I'm looking at you, Epic, who is redefining what long-form series looks like in this space. But it was this series in which I talked about the fact that Twitch had banned Dr. Disrespect, how that looked to me as a corporate lawyer, and I made certain thoughts known about what I thought Twitch was doing, how they had managed this contract and previous contracts or previous failures to execute individual exclusive contracts with folks like Ninja and Shroud. And that led to certain folks around the internet saying things about my opinion, saying things about the law firm, saying things about the channel. And yeah, I think one of the things that we try to do in this space is not bring bias into it, not bring any specific thoughts about Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or Dr. Disrespect or Shroud or Ninja or anyone else, but to just look at the facts that we can tell from the outside looking in, from what is reported, and say, you know, from my experience negotiating contracts, I think X or Y could happen and is probably happening behind the scenes. And in fact, if we go and we look at this timeline, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this timeline as we go through this video, one of the things that really pops out is that what happened at Twitch today is only the end of something that was likely in place almost as soon as Mixer announced its closing. Because although we look at this playlist, and we've got this first video right here that says, a lawyer's take on what we know about Twitch's ban of Dr. Disrespect, the true first video in this space is very likely this one. Microsoft closes Mixer. What the heck just happened? And if you aren't familiar with any of this at all, it was in late June of this year that Microsoft's streaming service, the primary, at least financial competitor to Twitch, run by Microsoft, announced that they were going to close. And over the course of the previous 9 months, Microsoft had been trying to snake specific streamers away from Twitch, most prominently Ninja and Shroud, by signing them to exclusive contracts for massive amounts of money. So one of the things that really was interesting out of this video and out of this set of announcements was that Microsoft had never actually signed Ninja and Shroud to a contract that was assignable. So while Microsoft was busy trying to move the various streamers on Mixer over to Facebook Gaming for convenience, they didn't have the authority to move Ninja and Shroud over to Facebook Gaming, and apparently wound up paying out, if not all, the primary portion of the amounts that were otherwise owed to Ninja and Shroud under the agreements that they had signed with Mixer, even though Ninja and Shroud would no longer be performing services for Mixer because Mixer would no longer exist. So in that system, in that universe where you've got Ninja and Shroud now acting as free agents in early June of this year, it was worth noting that Dr. Disrespect's ban happened within a week of that Mixer announcement. That what you had was a company in Twitch that signed up a personality in Dr. Disrespect not more than a few months before Mixer ultimately announced that it was going under, it was going away, and looking at the contracts that it had entered into and saying, wow, you know what? That tens of millions of dollars we agreed to pay that guy, his value to our company is no longer that. And a lot of companies, when they face that kind of decision, look at the situation and say, well, lawyers, see if you can't find something that we might be able to terminate this agreement and keep some of that money, free up some of that money in the budget for other purposes. In fact, it was in this video, which, as I look at this thumbnail, is maybe the most hideous thumbnail that I have ever created. Thank you very much for my design help now with the new logo and the new thumbnails and everything else. It was in this video where I said, okay, if that's the case, one of the things that is likely happening behind the scenes at Twitch is that they're freeing up this money in an effort to potentially go back and get Ninja and Shroud. And it was in that particular pontification, and that wasn't even really the focus of this video. The focus of the video was that Dr. Disrespect is represented by highly paid professionals, agents, public relations people, lawyers, and that you would expect him to be quiet, and that speculation about what he might have done was unearned and frankly irresponsible at that point in time, and continues to be through this point in time, if I'm being honest. That was the thrust of the video. But what got picked up across YouTube and on Reddit and in various places where I saw my video pop up was this notion that a lawyer somewhere on earth said Twitch had deliberately fired Dr. Disrespect to go and get Ninja and Shroud. It was described thusly: the most insane doc ban theory. And in fact, this video that was done by Esports Talk, if you go and you look, has more views than the video in which I make the claim itself. You can see my video there, put in a little box next to the individual here running this channel. And I don't really care about being called an insane theory, except that the purpose of this channel is hopefully to use my experience and understanding in contract law, in business, and having negotiated things of this nature to say, look, we don't have to read between the lines. We can actually just read the lines, and we can know certain things about what's happening behind the scenes. That Dr. Disrespect and Twitch are fighting it out about whether or not the termination was legitimate. That Twitch was trying to free up money. That it tried to free up money in the immediate aftermath of its primary financial competitor going under. And so whether or not Twitch ever signed Shroud and Ninja back up, it was still worth noting that the universe without Mixer was a different universe than with it. And that Twitch, like any good company, would at least be evaluating the value of the contracts that it had entered into in the prior universe now that the universe had changed. Now, a lot of companies would honor their contracts, would look at it and say, hey, you know what? That was a bad deal. We got a bad beat. They got a universe that changed on them months after they signed a contract worth tens of millions of dollars. Let's try not to make that mistake again. But Twitch appears to have gone and found what they think is a terminable condition under their contract and terminated Dr. Disrespect, and are undoubtedly trying to keep significant portions of the money that they otherwise would have owed him. So in the aftermath of that insane theory video on July 1 of this year, after a month and 10 days passes, we noted that Shroud was the first to announce that he was coming home. He was coming back to Twitch. We did a video on this, of course, and noted then that everything that we had said about the business situation remained the same. A lot of folks came into the comments to that video. A lot of folks commented on other videos that we had done and said, yeah, okay, maybe Shroud, but Ninja's departure from Twitch was so tumultuous that there was such a burning of bridges when Ninja left to go to Mixer that Twitch did various things to his channel, on what they displayed on his channel, and all of these things, that it was very unlikely that Ninja would come back. Now, I don't know the specifics of the Ninja-Twitch personal relationship. I doubt very much that a lot of you know those specifics either. But suffice it to say, that certainly could have been a possibility. When we talk about companies and individuals going to make money, even if it were rational, even if a combination, a partnership of their two specific positions would make them both money, a lot of the times personalities still matter. That Ninja might just feel burned by what Twitch did, or Twitch might feel burned by what Ninja did. But overall, if the pile of money is big enough, if Twitch can earn you enough money, if Ninja can earn you enough money, if you're sitting at Twitch headquarters, then you try to mend those fences. You try to give that olive branch. And so it was no surprise that today, September 10th, when this all happens, great to be back. Twitch, we're here for it. What can I say? Purple still suits me, that all of this occurred. Why? Because Twitch had freed up a massive amount of money, that they had looked at the contracts that they had entered into, that they really had wanted to spend in their honest heart of hearts from the world outside looking in on Ninja and Shroud, and instead wound up with Dr. Disrespect as effectively the last person to dance with at the ball. And then as soon as the competing ball closed and the dancers were available again, they looked around at what they had and said, you know what? We need a new partner. And it wasn't that hard to see. It wasn't that difficult. I'm not a prognosticator. I'm not an oracle. Hopefully, if you are in virtual legality often enough, you see that looking at things from this perspective, looking at things from a business and law perspective helps understand how things are likely to go just as much as it helps to understand how things are currently going. But Shroud and Ninja didn't have to sign back up. I say this is a victory lap. That was completely separate from what Twitch was doing, except that they had the money free and they chose to put it to a use, which we could predict when Mixer went under. Now, the other thing I wanted to add to this video, which I think is just as important, is what's happening over with Dr. Disrespect. I put in the thumbnail, Dr. Disrespect now stands alone. And I think that's an important piece of this puzzle. As I am told from my comments and the people that DM me and otherwise meet me on social media, Dr. Disrespect and Ninja and Shroud, the three of them, had been fairly close in streaming circles. They had been on each other's streams. They had worked together to build their audiences. And now Dr. Disrespect is telling the world that he's facing untold amounts of anxiety operating on YouTube gaming, operating in a world in which he had built a fan base over at Twitch, and that was taken away from him, and that he says he doesn't know why that was. On top of that, Twitch has certain rules which are really coming to the fore, which impact him directly. We've pulled up the Twitch terms and conditions document right now, and one of the things that happens in this document is it says as follows. You agree that you will comply with these terms of service and Twitch's community guidelines and will not circumvent features that enforce limitations on the use of the Twitch services. Now, you say Dr. Disrespect doesn't operate on Twitch anymore, and that's correct. But Twitch overall has suspended him, banned him, whatever you want to call it, whatever Twitch wants to call it. And it says that the Twitch services are not available to any users previously removed from the Twitch services by Twitch, or to any persons barred from receiving them under the applicable laws of their jurisdiction. Said another way, once Twitch suspends you, you aren't allowed to operate on Twitch. That makes sense. But the people that are on Twitch aren't allowed to help you circumvent features that enforce Twitch's limitations, including their suspensions. You combine this with community guidelines language that says any attempt to circumvent an account suspension or chat ban by using other accounts, identities, personalities, or presence on another user's accounts will also result in suspension. And what you have is a circumstance in which Twitch is going out and telling people, and you could hear this on Dr. Disrespect streams themselves, that people on Twitch can't stream with Dr. Disrespect. So he was building up a fan base. He was operating in Fortnite or wherever else with Ninja and Shroud, and now he no longer can do that. And so Ninja signing up over with Twitch takes Ninja out of the equation for Dr. Disrespect, just like Shroud was taken out of the equation. And so one thing that we can expect, again, looking at things from a business and law perspective, is that Dr. Disrespect and Twitch are currently engaged in some kind of behind-the-scenes discussion about what they terminated him for, what money they owe him, and if and what form a settlement document will take between the two parties. Maybe Dr. Disrespect will accept only a portion of the money. Maybe he will accept none of the money. Maybe Twitch will fight it to the end. Maybe they go into arbitration, whatever it might be. Part of that document, part of that discussion is going to have to be, if Twitch doesn't have great footing, if they're unwilling to show what footing they have, if Dr. Disrespect brings up this anxiety, brings up the fact that Twitch's elimination of his appearing on streams on Twitch, even if they're unorganized, even if they're just accidental between Ninja and Shroud or whomever, that is hurting his livelihood, and they haven't been able to show to his satisfaction or to an arbitrator's satisfaction the reasoning behind their termination of his account, then Dr. Disrespect should, as part of the settlement document, say, hey, look, as far as this goes, we walk away, that's fine. I don't need to be on Twitch anymore. You need to not enforce these provisions against me because I'm still unhappy with how this happened. I'm still unhappy with all this treatment. You owed me all this money, and maybe we can settle for less, but you need to allow me to appear on Twitch effectively, incidentally, when I'm on one of my friends' streams, because to do otherwise is to invoke a far harsher penalty than is otherwise reasonable for what you are claiming I have done. Now, maybe Twitch pulls out the big guns and they have something big on Dr. Disrespect that they finally reveal either just to him or to the world, and this all ends like that. But for right now, as I look at this situation, I look at it and say, Ninja signing with Twitch is as bad for Dr. Disrespect as anything else that's happened over the course of the summer here. That Dr. Disrespect is having folks that he would otherwise stream with that would form his community, that would clearly help center him in a fashion that would allow him to be better at his streaming. And he's clearly at least projecting as working through things like anxiety on his streams right now, that all of those signings to Twitch are taking away from him. And then if you've got a claim against Twitch, your team at Dr. Disrespect headquarters is going to look at this and say, well, Twitch, you're deliberately trying to harm him by enforcing these things without a deliberate termination condition, without showing us what it is that we did. And we're going to bring that up to an arbitrator, or God forbid, a court, if it were to get that high as well. And so, yeah, it's a bit of a victory lap for Virtual Legality in terms of predicting what Twitch was doing, predicting what would happen. But it's not a victory lap for Dr. Disrespect or for this story. Because while this signifies a certain ending for Twitch and Ninja and Shroud and the original kind of commentary that I made in my initial Hoeg Law video on June 29th, it isn't the end of the story for Dr. Disrespect, and that will be a story that we most certainly will continue to follow. This has been Virtual Legality for today. I hope you enjoyed it. We don't always talk about Dr. Disrespect, but when we do, we try to talk about it intelligently and without speculation as to what might be happening behind the scenes that we couldn't possibly know about. Otherwise, we talk about all sorts of things here in Virtual Legality. We've done, I think, 16 episodes now on Epic versus Apple versus Google, everything going on around that. If you're interested in that, please check it out. We also did a video earlier this morning about the Oscars and the Academy Awards trying to put inclusion and representation quotas into their Best Picture nomination process in a way that is unlikely to satisfy really any side of the political coin on questions like that. So please do check that out as well. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share, tell folks that we are here. Tell folks that Virtual Legality is the best place to find out about this information, because we do go through it with a fine-tooth comb. We do talk about what could be happening behind the scenes in a manner that very often, as it turns out, is correct on all counts. If you caught this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And if you listened to it on a podcast, thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you on the very next episode of Virtual Legality. Virtual Legality is a YouTube video series with audio podcast versions presented as commentary and for education and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have legal questions about the topics discussed, please consult your own legal counsel.